Crypto products and NFTs are unregulated and can be highly risky. There may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from such transactions.
Hey folks, Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to a very interesting video which is about what's happening with cryptos in 2022. In this video, we are also going to cover some amazing points like taxation of cryptos. We are also going to talk about how other countries are approaching cryptos. We are also going to talk about risks attached to cryptos, advantages of having cryptos in your portfolio, and also long-term use cases of cryptos. Lot more things coming up in this video, so stay tuned till the end. Well, before moving on to the taxation part, I would want you all to tell me whether you have started your crypto journey or not. I want to check that in the comment section. What? You want to know about my journey? Okay, I'll tell that. I started my crypto journey, I guess, a year ago. But before that, I had heard about cryptos as an asset class almost 2.5 years ago. But then I thought that if I were to invest in that, I should have good enough knowledge and then only I'll consider investing in this asset class. So when I started, learning a lot about cryptos, I read a lot of blogs, I checked out a lot of videos, and then I found out that cryptos have a lot of use cases. But when I started to track its price movement, I also found that in the short term, it's pretty volatile. But have a look at this. In the long term, whoa, it has continuously beaten inflation. So then I thought, why shouldn't I start my investing journey in cryptos, but only with a long-term perspective? When I thought of doing this, I also thought I should know about the taxation aspect very well. That is the reason why we are going to cover that in the coming section of the video. But before moving on to that, I would want to thank CoinSwitch, which is our knowledge partner and is one of India's largest crypto trading platforms. So don't forget to check out the link in the description box below. Wait, were you really believing that cryptos were not taxed till the previous year? They were, of course they were. It is just that people were not really sure under which head will it be taxed and at what rate will we have to pay tax on crypto gains, right? So people felt that if I am into 10% tax slab, I will pay 10%. Some people felt if I'm into the 30% slab, I'll pay 30%. But then in this Union Budget 2022, our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharamanji said that any income from the transfer of any virtual digital asset shall be taxed at the rate of 30% flat, irrespective of whatever is your tax slab. Apart from this, TDS at the rate of 1% has been proposed for transactions involving crypto. Now, in this big thing, one doubt that might have been raised in your mind is exactly what is the meaning of that virtual digital asset. So if you were to go into the definition of virtual digital asset, a crypto by whatever name called would be considered and I'm sure you might be like, "Kya challai?" But if you want to know the simple main meaning of this, you must be aware of the fact that virtual digital assets includes both cryptos as well as NFTs. This is where you should focus on. So would your crypto gains be taxed? Yes. Would your NFT gains be taxed? Answer is yes. Now with this understanding, let's understand that what were the overall sentiments from this news on crypto taxation. First, let's focus on the negative sentiments. The very first negative sentiment is, I guess, very clear that all those newcomers who felt that I would not have to pay taxes on cryptos, they were clearly discouraged. And have a look at this one. This is a Cointelegraph one blog, and this says that brain drain India's crypto tax forces budding crypto projects to move. So when I just read through this article, I found that this is some piece of information. Have a look at this. This mentions that there are many investors, traders who are leaving for places with more friendly regulation countries like Dubai or El Salvador. According to a recent report, the Dubai DMCC free zone has said 16% of the new company registrations recorded in quarter 1 of 2022 were of crypto and blockchain companies. And I hope with this you have understood why so many people are opting Dubai as one of the hot destination for all these crypto and blockchain projects. But does this mean that it's all negative news only about this taxation? No, of course there are certain positives attached to that as well. So let me talk about two base positive points. Number one is that government has at least recognized this as a VDA, that is a virtual digital asset. So basically we have seen the journey from where people were talking about banning cryptos to at least regulating cryptos. I think this is a big positive sentiment for the entire crypto industry. And the point of taxing cryptos at 30% and also that 1% TDS will encourage long-term investing rather than playing in cryptos for the short term. Now let's try and analyze how cryptos have stood the test of time. Originally, till 2018, it was like going good, but in 2018, you can see there's a sharp fall. And why was that? That was because RBI had banned banking channels from providing services to the crypto industry. That came as a pretty bad news, and that was the reason for that sharp fall. You can see from 2018 to 2020, it was complete sideways trend, and then in 2020, Supreme Court reversed the order which RBI had passed in 2018, and this Supreme Court order came up in 2020. Now have a look at the chart from 2020. Zoop, it went up. And then of course it's like any other asset class, it is a volatile asset class. So in 2020 it shot up, in 2021 it saw amazing heights, again a little bit of correction, and in 2022 it saw a higher high. But then what happened in 2022? The point that we discussed right now, right? Taxation of cryptos, and again because of which there was some kind of fall. Of course I can't say that the entire fall was only and only because of taxation. I can't say that because taxation was only in India. This is like a worldwide price that I'm talking about, right? But in spite of all these things, in spite of this big roller coaster ride, if you know this, India ranks second in terms of number of crypto investors, USA being the first one. And amidst all of these things, a very famous blockchain was founded by 3 software engineers from India, and they tried to, tackle one problem of the Ethereum blockchain, which was number one, heavy gas fees, heavy transaction fees basically, and the second one was low transactions per second. I want you all to tell me in the comment section, which blockchain am I referring to? Well, we did talk about how India is looking at this entire crypto space. Now let's try and focus on some other countries. What about USA? In the United States, is crypto used as a legal tender? Again, answer is no. But does it mean that it is not regulated also? Of course it is regulated. And in fact, I happened to read this article from whitehouse.gov. Can't get more authentic than this, right? And here President Biden says that this entire digital space, it's growing, and here he very clearly mentions that the United States must maintain technological leadership in this rapidly growing space, supporting innovation while mitigating the risks for consumers, businesses, the broader financial system, and the climate as well. Here he says that this order that he's going to lay out as a national policy for digital assets, it has 6 key priorities. Which 6 priorities? The very first one, he says consumer and investor protection, financial stability, illicit finance, so many more points, including financial inclusion and responsible innovation. The moment this was discussed, within few days, this got actually passed, and here you can see the very first paragraph as well, which very clearly mentions that the White House took a big step towards regulating cryptocurrency on Wednesday, a move experts describe as extremely positive, long overdue, and an acknowledgement that crypto is here to stay. So if I talk about USA, I hope you have understood the stance. It's nowhere about banning it. It's absolutely regulating it. Is India also moving into that direction? Yes, we are not inclined more towards banning it, but right now we are inclined more towards regulating it. What about other countries? Let's check for Canada. Canada, they have also applied a similar stance, but one different point as compared to India is that they tax this as either a business income or a capital gain. Any other country? El Salvador, that was the first country to use Bitcoin alongside the US dollar as a legal tender in September 2021. So to the best of my knowledge, this is the only country till now which has actually allowed Bitcoin as a legal tender, right? What about other countries? Denmark, France, Germany, Iceland, Japan, I can just go on. All these are also developing some kind of regulations towards crypto. Now, all this was about what? This was about countries and their stance about crypto. What about companies? Are companies also having a certain stance about cryptos? Answer is yes. Let's take a few examples. The very first one is Meta. And here I'm sure you have heard about the 3D experience that they are wanting to give to their users, wherein it will let you socialize, learn, collaborate, and play with all other users in a very unique way. In fact, I would also want to quote JP Morgan, which was the first bank to enter metaverse earlier this year. Not only this bank, JP Morgan, HSBC also opened a branch in the established sandbox region of the metaverse. And why shouldn't I quote Adidas, who purchased a plot of land on Sandbox, and it intends to sell a lot of exclusive branded content in this metaverse, and they are also going to keep certain items for purchase. So I hope with entire discussion you have understood what is the stance of various countries and companies about this crypto space. Now let's focus on the risks and advantages in this entire space. See, the moment I'm using the word crypto, I am referring to VDA. If you remember, it's a virtual digital asset. And the moment I'm using the word digital, of course, frauds can happen in the digital space. So be it digital banking or transacting digitally in this crypto space, anything which is happening, any transaction which is happening in the digital space can involve some sort of fraud. So as an informed investor, as an informed consumer, you should be aware while transacting in this space, right? Number one. Number two, because of thousands and thousands of projects which are happening in this entire blockchain space, can I say there's a fierce competition which is going on here? Absolutely yes, right? So that can be the second risk involved in this space. The third one can be volatility. Because of this innate technology that is happening in this entire space, I can say that there's a lot of volatility involved here. So whenever you are taking this, you are considering this as an asset class, be sure of the risks and then go ahead with the final decision of yours, right? Going ahead with the advantages of crypto, I think this is again evolving with time. Just to give you an example how it is evolving with time, just have a look at this chart, okay? How many transactions were happening per second? With Bitcoin as a technology, if I'm talking about, then 4 transactions used to happen per second. With Ethereum, roughly 17 transactions per second. But with Matic and Solana, there can be up to 65,000 transactions per second. See how it has evolved even as a technology, right? If I'm talking about the transaction costs, Bitcoin, have a look at this. $2 average per transaction. Ethereum, oh my God, $15 average per transaction. But if I'm talking again about Matic, it's just $0.1 to $0.5. And Solana, have a look at this. $0.00025 per transaction. So can I say this is surely improving with more and more technologies? Answer is obviously yes. Well, before moving on to the long-term use cases of crypto, I would just want to add one more advantage of investing in cryptos. If you check about any asset class, one basic requirement is that it should beat the inflation. If it doesn't beat inflation, it means that you are actually losing out money in the medium term also, in the long term also, right? So if I were to compare this asset class with inflation, roughly I can say on an average, last 10 years, inflation was a shade higher than 6%. I'm talking about the last decade. But if you're reading the news recently, you might have read that India's inflation is just going off the roof. Even if I'm talking about countries like Singapore, it's the same thing. In fact, in the United States, if you are talking about since 1981 till date, this big time frame, in USA, inflation is the highest right now. So which asset class has a capacity to beat such heavy monstrous inflation in the long term? And that asset class can be cryptos, right? If you have a look at the crypto long-term chart, which I've already showed you, it has clearly beaten inflation in the longer term, right? So with this as one more very big advantage, let's move on with the long-term use cases of crypto, which I believe are very difficult to go obsolete. The very first one is dApps. What are dApps? Decentralized apps. So if I'm talking about apps like YouTube, Twitter, or any other social media platform, right? We believe that we own the content, we own our account, but that is not the case. I'm sure you might have heard about many political leaders whose account was banned by Twitter, and whatever content they had put up on that specific channel, that was like gone overnight. It was just, that account was just deleted. Now you can imagine, for all these influential people, if their accounts are not in their control, then they might feel that what's the use, right? So in such cases, if I get the true ownership of my account, wouldn't I want that? Answer is yes. But then what is the solution? Solution is nothing but dApps, which are decentralized app. No single organization owns that app. There is no central authority controlling it. That's why a dApp, right? Second one can be DeFi. That is, DeFi is nothing but decentralized finance. One more amazing application of crypto. So just as an example, I am a person who wants a loan, and there is another person who is ready to give a loan, but there is one entity in between, that is the bank. Now bank checks my loan documents and says, no, Rachana, you are not worthy of taking a loan. Rejected. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't get a loan. But instead of this central authority, which is a bank, if bank is not there in place, if it is a decentralized finance, if there is a person who is ready to give me a loan, if I'm a person who is ready to take a loan, why not? There is no central authority. There'll be again a decentralized finance that I'm talking about. Again, an amazing use case of cryptos. The third use case of cryptos can be DAOs, and that is decentralized autonomous organizations. In simple words, it's as good as, again, same thing, no centralized leadership. Every other member in this organization has equal rights to vote in and take decisions in the organization. But to be really honest, be it dApps or DeFi or DAOs, all are separate topics in themselves. If you want to know more about these in detail, please let me know in the comment section below. Well, I guess I've talked about enough use cases, but then I couldn't stop myself from sharing these two news. The very first one is Stripe partners India's Polygon to enable crypto payouts, starting with Twitter. And this, they mentioned that they'll pilot the payout solutions with Twitter. You can just have a look at this news. And also one more amazing news that I read was about Maharashtra government, wherein Maharashtra government starts using blockchain technology. Government using blockchain technology for caste certificate validation. And here it is very clearly mentioned that the government feels that because it involves a lot of manual intervention, it is prone to frauds and forgery. That is why they have thought of shifting to the blockchain technology. So I think these all are welcome moves. This just tells us about what could be the potential use cases of blockchain technology. Now let's come to the grand finale of why starting your crypto journey now can surely be a good idea. So if I were to compare cryptos today, I can compare it with internet in the 1990s. So in the 1990s, like, internet was a totally different technology, and at that time people were talking about banning the internet. And today you'll be like, oh my God, how nonsense would that have been, banning the internet? I think similar vibe, similar emotion was there about cryptos just 1 or 2 years back. Now I think we have gone past that emotion of banning it. We are into the emotion of, or in the process of, regulating it. So those who did not invest in internet as a technology in those companies today might be like, oh my God, I should have at least tried that, maybe with a small amount, but I should have tried that. And exactly copy paste logic you can apply for cryptos as well. So maybe 30 years down the line, if crypto also actually is, crypto or blockchain as a space, if it is able to replicate the success of internet, I don't want to say that had I invested even a small amount, I might have made decent enough money maybe, right? So that is the reason why I feel that number one, you can start investing in cryptos because of, you can compare it with the tech involved. Second one is SIP. So if you are really confused about the volatility, or you're scared about the volatility in this asset class, the best idea can be like a systematic investment plan. Just just try and invest a small amount, but on a regular basis every month. This will help you with the rupee cost averaging. The third one is obviously diversification of asset class, which is a must. Again, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Because I invest a lot in stock market doesn't mean that my 100% money is in stock market. I do invest in stock market. I do invest even in FDs, that is for liquidity. I do invest in cryptos as well. So diversification is important, which will as a basket be able to beat the inflation number, right? The next one and the last one I believe is that finally, if I'm investing in any crypto token, I'm directly or indirectly investing in the crypto project. So there are a lot of crypto projects which are Indian based. So it is kind of direct or indirect support to an Indian based startup. In fact, even CoinSwitch Kuber has been started by people who are from Meerut. And now that we have discussed about everything that has happened with crypto in 2022, not only that, we talked about the other countries, their stance on crypto. We also talked about other companies, their stance on crypto. We did talk about the advantages, we talked about the risks, and so many more points. And now the $1,000,000 question, that if I were to invest, how do I do that? The answer is very simple. You can just check out CoinSwitch, which is one of the best and simplest place to invest in cryptos. 2-3 important points I would want to highlight about CoinSwitch. The very first one is it's a pretty easy to use app. Also, one more very important feature is that you can start investing in this with as low as 100 rupees. So if you are an absolute beginner and if you just want to test the waters, I think this is a very cool feature, right? The third one is that they also have this SIP feature when you can also invest regularly on a monthly basis in a very disciplined manner. And if you want to learn more about this entire crypto space, you can also check out the blogs and the YouTube channel of CoinSwitch. And if you have loved this video, don't forget to like, just press that like button, right? And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Till then, take care, Jai Hind, and bye-bye.
Crypto products and NFTs are unregulated and can be highly risky. There may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from such transactions.